All right, everybody, welcome. We are back at it. We are on week number 5, and today we're going to be working on half square triangles. Ta-da! Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 different methods, but I've got them all laid out and ready to go, so hopefully this won't take long. And if you'll give me just a second, I just need to answer a quick question. Time for a drink. All right, for anybody just watching, I just want to mention that the guild that I belong to is doing a drawing for a what we call an opportunity quilt. It is a beautiful piece of work that is just absolutely artistic in its nature. It is absolutely beautiful. It is, I think, what some would call a one-block wonder. Just amazing, just amazing. So if you want, I will make sure I load the ability up to purchase tickets and give you a site where you can go. This is for 501c3, so all the money, 100% of the money, goes to the Guild, which is an organization that helps by giving quilts to different organizations that reach out to children, homes, women who are being adversely affected for different reasons. We also give to the Humane Society and to for dog beds and cat mats, and so we have a lot that we do. Plus, it brings together a lot of women who are quilters, who are actually, quite a few of us are, in the 40 to however old the quilters are. We would love to bring in new quilters, young quilters. I mean, it is. Some people say it's a dying art. I would like to argue that point, that it is not. That quilting is huge. It's a huge industry, and there's just a ton of women and men who do do quilting for show. They do it for gifts. They do it because they want to. I know so many women that use their own money to buy fabric and batting and things like these, but then give these quilts away to charity so that they can go. I mean, you should have seen the outpouring of quilts that went to Ukraine when Ukraine first started was getting into it with Russia, and just tons and tons, I mean tons of quilts were heading over to Ukraine to give to families who are being displaced or being dislodged. And there were so many other times that the quilting world, the quilting industry stepped up. I know there are pillowcases that go to a specific organization to give to children who are going through cancer treatments. I mean, this is a organization. Quilting is something that is a very giving industry. I mean, they're all about sharing ideas, sharing their lives, sharing their gifts. So if you're ever interested, you can talk to me. I will try to help you find a guild in your area, but you can just Google, your area for quilting guilds, and hopefully they are as kind and wonderful as I feel like my guild is. Well, on to what we're going to do today. Unfortunately, sometimes I get a little wordy there, and I apologize, but let's see if we can get this moving. All right, so let's go down to the tabletop. If I can get this camera turned off. All right. Now, last week I told you that I would put my my pressing bars on Etsy. They are actually right here, and I never did make it onto Etsy, but I did take care of that before I went on, so it is up on Etsy. One of the methods that we're going to use for the for our our section today, the construction section that we're going to be working on, is half square triangles. And I have already prepared these for us. There are 3 different methods for doing a half square triangle. There's probably even more. There's probably a ton of them out there. But these 3 methods are usually the most popular. Well, maybe not the third one. I would hope it is, because I really, really enjoy it. So our very first method, the very first one you will see, is what I think is the most popular of the methods that I'm going to show you today. Now, I asked you to hang on to, don't cut out your fabrics just yet, because I wanted you to watch these and see which ones you think work best for you. So I'm going to whip out my little light here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off because it's not helping, it's making it harder. Okay, so this is a fabric side, right side up, and this one I'm not sure, but I think it's right side up, so let's just run my light over it. I know you can't see it, but I can tell from looking at it that it is right side up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. Now this one is method number 1, or method A, and it has 2 squares, okay, of fabric. We're going to make 2 out of this. So this is actually larger than the square that it's going to turn out to be, okay. So we're going to flip this over. We're going to grab our wonderful little ruler, which I'm going to place an order for these real soon. So if anybody's interested, you let me know, and that way I know exactly how many to order. Okay. Now let's find something to mark with. Well, that won't do it. A lot of people use a pencil when doing this. I am good with whatever works best for you. So right now I'm just going to use a pen because that's what I got sitting here. And you're going to mark if you look at the edge here. Let me get my stiletto out. Well, hey, Miss Jerry, welcome. And Miss Claudine, welcome, y'all. So if you look here, I actually have the ruler coming just slightly to one side of the tip. That's because your pen has width. There's a width to your pen tip, so you can't really put the ruler right on the very center of that of this square, because it's not going to work. It's going to make your line slightly off. So if you move that ruler over just slightly so that you can see the tip on both sides of the ruler, that should help get that alignment a little bit better. Okay, so we know we have right sides up. We're going to put these 2 together. I like to put a pin on both sides just so it holds them together. And I try to line those up as best as I can. All right, so that's what it looks like. Got my line down the center, and I got a pin on both sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch on both sides of that. And if you do these all at one time, then you can just chain sew them all the way through, and it will definitely cut out a lot of work. Now we'll tell you, this way uses up the least amount of fabric. If you do it like this, you will use the least amount of fabric. The next method will use the more fabric than this one, and the one after that will be in between these 2. So let's go ahead and come on over here to the throat plate. Okay, so we're going to start on one side. We're going to put that down right there. And hopefully it doesn't undo on me. And we're just going to stitch all the way down. Now you can clip it, or you can just send it back through again. Now if you're doing chain piecing, you're going to want to just go ahead and do one side. Just go ahead and pick one side and do all of them on one side. And then you're going to want to do all of them on the other side. Once you do all on one side, then you can do all on the other side. All right, so that's done. Let's bring this over here. My mouse kind of gets away from me. All right. So as you can see, we've got a nice seam all the way down on both sides, and that should be 1/4 of an inch, okay? So that if you're opening up and iron it, you're going to wind up with 2 squares, both the same size. These are both going to be the same size, or at least they should be. Okay? You can use your ruler, or you can just cut right across the center, and I have done that many, many times. Cut right down the center with with it, because honestly, it doesn't have to be a perfect 1/4 of an inch down the center. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't have to be either. Okay, now the rain has come, and it is a steady a-pouring. So if something happens that we lose internet like it happened once before, don't worry. I will finish the video unless I lose power, and then we will, of course, I'll do the video as soon as I'm done. All right, so I'm going to flip those over because it's not quite as bright. Now here's what I like to do. When I get to this point, I go ahead and cut those dog ears off. I like it because it's one less step I have to do, and it gets both of them at the same time instead of having to trim, because oftentimes I iron open my half square triangles. Okay, you may pick and decide for yourself which way you want to do it. Do you want to do it like this? Okay, or you can grab your handy dandy seam pressing bar, which I hope my seam pressing bar maker gets well real soon so I can get a few more from her, because she's my lifeline, and then press them open. And if you're wondering why would I use a seam pressing bar, if you've ever tried to iron a seam open on an ironing board or even the wool pressing mat, you will find that it wants so bad to curl at some point and turn your fabric a little bit. And I found that pressing bar helps to keep that seam nice and straight and very flat. And then you can use the tailor's clapper to get that seam even flatter. And you saw what it did for that last one. I mean, we're talking layers, bulky little layers of fabric, and it just made those beautiful. Of course, spinning that seam also helped. So I know, Miss Janice, I know you have a few, and I just don't want to bother you with it right now, but anytime you're ready, you let me know, and I will come get whatever you've got that you can spare, because I will take them. You know, it's one of those things that just, I can't even keep them in stock. Okay, and so there we have it. These are the 2 half square rectangles. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to cut them down to size, because these may or may not be the right size. And they're just slightly out of size. So with these, you're going to have to cut them down to size. Okay, which you will find in your pattern. Your pattern will tell you exactly how big to make them. And I will get that pattern to you today. I will go ahead and scan them and get that out to you today so you know exactly how large to make these. Okay, that is method number 1. Now, let's do method number 2. Everybody ready for method number 2? Come on, let me hear you hooting and hollering. Miss Claudine says she loves hers. I know I love mine. I probably have 3 or 4 of these around my house. This is the longer one. There's a 15-inch pressing bar because a lot of my blocks are 12.5 inches or larger, and the smaller pressing bar is 12 inches, so it doesn't quite always fit what I need, and I love these things. Love them. Okay, all right. We're moving on here, y'all. And I don't say that as a funny thing, because I am actually very Southern. Lived in South Carolina for many, many years, picked up a very Southern dialect from it, and now being back in Florida, I kind of lost most of it, but every once in a while you still hear it, and y'all just happens to be one of those ones that I have not gotten rid of. Okay, so again, we are going to, now here's where using a pencil would be much better, because you want a very light touch. And let's see if I can find a pencil, or even a or the one that the Friction. I love the Friction, by the way. It's like my favorite. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this pencil is very, very fat. It's not very sharp. So let's see if I can find my pencil, or my erasable pen. Here's one. Yeah. not that. Yes, this. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is a friction pen. Absolutely love them. Introduced Donna to it. She loves them. I bought her a whole pack before she went home. Okay, so same thing. We're still going to draw a line. This is the smaller one, by the way. This is basically the size that you're going to need of the half square triangle, okay? So you're going to cut as many as you need. And again, the instructions will have it on there for you. I ain't going to lie, there's going to be a lot of them. In the end, you need 160 half square triangles, okay? Yes, I know it's a lot. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But it is what it is. I mean, you're making a quilt. You're gonna have some repeats of stuff, and this is one thing you're going to repeat a lot. Okay, so we're going to put it in here. We're going to draw a line, and this is method number 2. Okay? Okay, so we're going to draw the line. Now, you're going to have a difficult time going straight from one point to the other point. So just try to at least get on one side of that line, and then mark the other side so that you know that this is the side you're going to cut off. Okay? So let's pin this real quick. I put my pins away. Grab my pin so that it is less likely to slip around on us. And to get my items moved so we can get over here. And yeah, the last time I streamed, I put a microphone on Donna. The problem is the microphone went dead, and I didn't realize it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew slightly to the right of that line. And I'm not going to go too fast. And I'm going to let the feed dogs do their job and pull the fabric in for me, so that I'm coming all the way down to the end. All right, perfect. All right, so we have sewn straight on that line. Now remember, this one is the one that's going to use the most fabric. More fabric than the other 3. And we're going to get that pin out of the way. And I'm going to snip, 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 snip. All right, and let's come back over here. Okay, now we're going to take a look. And if you look, we sewed slightly on the outside, just slightly on the outside of that line. And we're going to cut off on this side where we marked it. Can you see my mark? Okay. And we're going to do our usual 1/4 inch. And this is where, again, you know, you can just go ahead and measure it and cut off at 1/4 inch. For this one, it's much safer than just cutting it off. And we're going to move that out of the way. Now, again, you can save these pieces and use them as a leader or even an ender, and then use them into a quilt later on. They'll make a cute quilt. Now, as you see, we've already got our dog ears cut off, and we don't have to worry about that. And again, you can press it open, or you can press it to one side. As soon as I can get some seam pressing bars, I will load them back on my Etsy shop. I think they're all down now because most of them sold out. I think I only had a couple left, and I'm just waiting. I hope to. Yeah. Absolutely, Miss Claudine, we're going to need 160 of them. 160? Yeah. Yep. 160. All right. And there you have it, y'all. This one should be exactly the size we need, but you may need to trim it down. No, that's pretty close. All right. So again, this one will use the most, but you only make one at a time. This method made 2 at a time, and you will definitely need to trim it down just a little bit. And again, all the measurements will come inside your instructions. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always send me your information. Now, the next one is this one. Y'all, this is my favorite one. It is absolutely, by far, my absolutely favorite one. I might get behind because my sewing machine is sewing machine is in the hospital. Yeah, I remember hearing you talk about that. Don't you worry. You can get caught up where you need to. This one is a little bit harder, but don't worry because the next thing we're going to do, is, yep, we got at least another week before we have to pick this one up again, so you should be fine. You'll have at least 2 weeks before we have to pick it up again. All right, so this one is called triangulations. It is a process that I want to say was developed by Brenda Hennings. I don't know the exact way she came about this. All I know is I love it. It works great, and it makes the blocks, the half square triangles, at exactly the right size. If you look right here, it tells you that you start with this size, and this is what it's going to end up like for the, not the finished square, not the finished half square triangle, but the part that when we're done taking all the paper out and everything, that's what you end up with. Then when you're done, it has another number over here, and that's what the size is going to be when it is finished and in the quilt. So the actual size, and that's what you're looking for. Okay. All right. So let's go over here, and I'm going to show you. All right. Let me just briefly tell you. You're going to print out 14 of these pages. All right, for the size that you need from the Brenda Hennings, and you will find the link in my in the comment section of this video. And I do not get anything for this. I did that because I absolutely love this, and I want everybody to have access to it that wants it. Now, I did do a class with Sheila, and Sheila was the one who turned me on to this. So several of you already have the triangulations, and she also has the triangulations for the flying geese. She has it for the quarter square triangles, and there are some other ones that are in there as well. So, I mean, it would be a fun thing to play around with and maybe just put together your own quilt just by using these papers. Right now I'm using the paper by Carol Dokes, and I do like using this, but you can use copy paper. Just remember, when you're doing this, when you're stitching this, you want to use a very small stitch, like 1.5 or 1.25 or even 1. It's a very small stitch. If you make a mistake and you have to rip this out, I will tell you it will be no fun. I can absolutely tell you that. So again, in the instructions that I'll send you for the triangulations, it'll tell you exactly how many squares you're going to need to cut of the fabric, what size to cut it. Do not cut it any smaller because you will not be able to get it through there. Walking foot would be great, but if you don't have a walking foot, just remember to use a light foot. Don't, turn your foot so that it's not pressing so hard on the fabric, because it will push the paper around. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to start at one end, and we're going to go down, across, back, around, and then we're going to go back the other direction. And this is going to give us everything we need to stitch this together. So let's get on over here and get it done. We're going to start it at one spot, and I'm going to turn my stitch way down, because that's going to help us with the perforations. Basically, it's going to perforate the paper for us. Now mine will stitch very quickly, so I'm going to let it have at it. And again, let your feed dogs do their job and pull this paper in, but watch it and guide it. That's it. That is all there is to it. Now I would get them all together, and then stitch them all at one time. Just do it all at once. All right, let's go over here, and we're going to go back to the tabletop as soon as I can remember how to do it. There we go. All right, now if you look at it, you can see where I've stitched it. I stitched it all the way, starting from the bottom here, all the way down, crossed over, and then went across and came all the way back. And what the needle has done is created the perforation in the paper to make the paper easier to pull out. So if you remember to do a very small stitch And again, I think I used on mine I use almost a 1, but you can use a 1, a 1.2, and a 1.5, but I would not go much larger than a 1.5. So on the dotted line, that's right. Miss Sheila says, love triangulations. All you have to remember is to sew on the dotted line and cut on the solid line. Easy peasy. Absolutely. Absolutely my favorite one. So Mrs. Hennings, thank you so much. I am so grateful to you for designing this, because this has been such a blessing. I know there are other papers that you can buy out there, but again, they only do like 4 at a time, or less. So what I do is I trim off the outside edge, and my paper. When you're printing your paper from the triangulations, remember to print actual size or scale to 100%. Because I did notice that one time when I was trying to print something, it didn't have actual size, but I could custom print it, and so I custom printed it to 100%, and that did the trick. It was exactly dead on. I had to have a 2-inch, my reference point was a 2-inch, and it measured right up to 2 inches. It was absolutely perfect. So I usually trim off the edges first, like this. And this one sheet will make 12 half square triangles at one time. And if for those of you who like to work in front of your TV, you can sit down with all the pieces. Once you get them cut out, you can sit down at the TV and just pull off paper. I absolutely love doing it that way. Just line that up, and your blade is nice and thin, so it's not like the pencil or the pen where you have to give it a little extra space. You don't need much space on that. All right, I'm gonna get my head in here just so I can see what I'm doing. Now be careful, because we tend to turn our blade in a direction that our arm wants to go, so you have to be careful and make sure you're applying the right amount of pressure and that you're not steering it in the wrong direction. You will, when you're done, end up with extra half square triangles, so if you mess up, it's okay. You probably have about, I want to say you have about 8 extra triangles when you're done. All right, so I am just going to snip this, because apparently I missed a little piece right here and one right here. Sometimes when your mats get a little nick in them, it'll do this, and I think I actually have a couple of nicks in my mat. I really need to buy new mats. I really want a really big mat, one that's bigger than 36 inches, and I'll get it eventually. Eventually I will buy myself one. Okay, then I'm going to use this one. And this one. And again, this part really doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now just imagine I went ahead and cut all those, so they're all done. Okay, now here's the next really cool thing. I am going to grab my little trash can, and this is another thing that Miss Sheila has. Well, I have a class all ready to go, I just haven't done it yet, to make this cute little pin/trash can, and because the bottom is boxed, it sits so nicely on top of the countertop that I'll be honest, I actually use this more than I use this. So I do have a class ready to go. I just need to find a time to schedule it and see about getting everybody involved. Okay, so right here, as you can see, there's a line, and it shows you where to trim your dog ears. Look at that. Isn't that easy peasy? I'm going to cut a couple more. And like I said, in this one paper, we just did 12 of these half square triangles. And some of them, when they're smaller, you can do even more. And it'll even do larger ones. And of course, you don't get quite as many out of it. You can get 4, 6, or 8. But it's just amazing how well this works. All right. So then when you get that far and you get them off, all you do is grab a hold of it. I put my thumb right here in the center, pop it and pull. Pop it and pull. How easy is that? And like I said, if you do that, that stitch short enough, it is absolutely going to make a nice perforation on there, so that all you have to do is pull it off. And you can sit on your couch, watch TV, and you won't even have to hardly look at it, and just pull them right off. Look at that. How easy is that? Freaking love this. This is like my favorite. All right, so once you get that done, now I'm going to show you the next part that I absolutely love about this. And grab my... So again, you have already printed out the exact size you needed. You told it what size you needed. You told it what size it would needed to finish at. And it's all preset. So all you do is print out the papers. And you tell your printer what paper, you know, how many you need. It has the dog ears already printed on there, so you know what to cut out. Now look at that. Look at how beautiful it made that with those dog ears. Look at that. Is that not just beautiful? And then there's the finished product. That's what it looks like. And then if you hold it up here, it is absolutely perfect. The size is exactly the size you need. There's no more trimming. There's no trimming it down. There's no extra little pieces here and there except for this. This was all the extra I had, was this. Just imagine if you could do 160 half square triangles. You're going to save a little bit of time, but you're going to save fabric, and you're going to save a lot of aggravation with trying to go back after you've already sewn it all together. After you've already cut it out, sewn it together, you have to go back and retrim everything. So again, Brenda Hennings, it's Bear Paw Productions. And I put the link in the comments so you can find it. If you don't have it, you need it. You never know when you're going to need it, but you need this. I absolutely love this. It has been a life changer for me. I can whip through half square triangles like nobody's business. Okay, well, believe it or not, that is the end. That is the last of the methods. That is method number 3, my absolute favorite. I can do all of them, you know, as you can see, but I love this one because when I'm done, when I pull those papers and iron it open, that's it. I know I don't have to go back and check these because they're done. As long as I printed out the proper paper, and trust me, I have printed out the wrong paper before. But when I print out the paper that's the right paper for this, I always get perfect half square triangles. Look how beautiful that is. It is so nice and square, and the seams are so beautiful. All right, I'm sorry. I'll go on and on and on about this. So I need to stop. All right, you guys, if you have any questions about this, or you're confused, or it doesn't make any sense, or you've tried everything and you just can't figure it out, you let me know, okay? But I will send you the papers right away. For those of you who, excuse me, who are in my email, excuse me. For those of you who are in my email list, yes, I did not turn on my light over here, so I do say I have a lot of dark shadows on my face, and I apologize. For those of you who are not on my email list, the link for the Bear Paw Productions Triangulations 4.0, they have a digital download, and I think they still have the ability to mail you a CD if you prefer. Now, most computers don't actually come with the CD-ROM anymore. Maybe it's a thumb drive. I don't know. When I got mine, it was a CD, and I just have an external CD drive that I use pretty much for all my computers, and I do have a couple. But you can digitally download. And if you go to her site, you're going to get exactly what they have on Amazon or some of the other sites. So personally, I would just go straight to the designer and purchase it straight from her. You can't go wrong. She's and take a look at some of her patterns. I mean, she's got some beautiful patterns out there. Okay, I promise I'm done. Today was great. I was worried that it would go a little bit long. We did good. We only, I see about 40 minutes, and that's even with me rattling on. So hopefully it's not too boring with my rattling. But just want to say I got it last year and it was a CD. Yep. But she does have a 4.0. I don't know what that means because I've not found. I mean, this is one of those things that seems like it's kind of hard to improve on perfection, but if you get 4.0 and it's different, please tell me how it's different because, I don't know, it's pretty freaking awesome. Anyways, all right, y'all. Just want to say thank you for hanging with me today. Let's see, any other questions I need to answer? No, I don't see anything up there. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad we were able to keep this down to just a few minutes longer than normal instead of, I was worried it was going to take like an hour to show you this, but I tried to have everything ready and it went very smoothly. So for that, I'm really grateful. So thank you again. And I will see you next week. Prayer time is coming up next. So if you're ready to jump off, you can jump off or you can hang out and do prayer time with me. And again, you guys are always welcome to pray with me. You are welcome to pray for me. I am so much better. I did find yesterday that standing on my feet all day like I was, by the end of the day, I was starting to hurt a little bit, but no time at all, it was much better. So thank you so much I know you guys have been praying for me and asking about me to find out how my back is doing. And I would like to say 100% healed. And I know God has that in my plan that I will be healed and stay healed. And so right now, let's just go ahead and have our prayer time so I can let you guys go to dinner. All right, Father, I just thank you for the opportunities that you give us every day, each hour, to show your grace, show your mercy, show your love. Father, you reach out through us to bless other people, to show people that there is a right side up world, and we're a part of it. There's a right side up world, and we are the difference. If a difference needs to be made, Father, just help us to see what difference we need to make. I just ask you to bless each person within the hearing of my voice, Father. Set their lives in a direction that you want them to go. Help them see what will make what they need possible. If there's healing, Father, I just ask you to bless each person with the healing that they need, whether it be physical, emotional, or mental, Father. I just ask you to pour out your love and your blessing and heal from the top of their head to the bottoms of their feet, Father. And then I give you all honor, all glory, and all praise. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Listen, you guys have a fantastic week. I hope I get to see somebody. I know it's going to be a little while before we meet again for our guild meeting. And that's for those of you that are in my guild. You will find this and last week's lesson in the Etsy shop. I'll make sure I get them loaded up. I didn't realize I had forgotten to load up last week's pattern. So I will get this week and last week's pattern loaded up to Etsy. It will be in its completion at the end of this this mystery quilt. So, hang in there if you want to wait and just do the whole pattern at one time. There's really not a big price difference. So it'll be the exact same thing if you're purchasing the whole pattern. So if you're buying the parts, then go ahead and keep buying the parts. Don't wait for the whole thing to come out. If you're waiting for the whole thing to come out, don't buy any one part of the pattern and wait till the end so you can get the whole thing in one shot. And I will load it up. And eventually I will take down all the steps because they'll be in the one whole thing. Thank you, Miss Claudine. I love you too. I so appreciate the support that you guys give me. You support me with your love. You support me with your purchases. You support me with encouragement. And it means the world to me. And I just love you guys. So listen, have a great week. And I will see you next Sunday at 4. Love you.